Hello, my name's Ralph and welcome back to the channel. It's my time, let's go. Today we're working away at the 3-speed and I got some other parts, but I'm working on 4th gear today and we're trying to make it as leak-proof as possible that we can possibly make it. What we're planning on doing is taking our oil seal race here, which slides onto 4th gear here like that. And as you can see, there's a small, we'll call it a mark there. I'm going to cut that out a little bit and put an O-ring in it. But on the edge of the teeth, you can see a very small shoulder piece here. What we're trying to do is make a cut inside to put a small O-ring like we have in here. With the O-ring in it, when it's slid very carefully onto 4th gear, I can't force it on there right now because it's a little bit of a trick just to put some grease on it and slide it on. But with that O-ring, it will seal around this spot here. And like I say, we're going to mount it in a 4-jaw chuck to sink this in here some more once we put the new bushing in so we can put double seals in, and then we're going to cut that ring out a little bit. Enough that we can put a smaller O-ring around that. And with the 2 of those compressed in there, it should stop the spot where oil always tends to try and come out from them. So we'll get it set up in the lathe. I'll give you a quick look there. We don't have to go through all the cutting, but I'll give you an idea what's going on. And once that's done, we're going to push a new bushing into 4th gear. Keep working away at it. So we've got it mounted in our chuck now, and what we're going to do, I've taken a measurement off my gear and I see that that ridge is about 132 thousandths of an inch out from the shoulder. So I'm going to go in there about 132 thou. Then I'm going to come out around 62 thousandths. Our ring is 66. By the time it gets squished in there and stuff, I find that seems to work all right. So we'll set it up, get our spot, and we'll start cutting. Able to have a look and check my depth, and I'm right on the money spot. I don't think you can see it, but I am right on the groove in there. There we go. So now we're down to size here. We should be. I'm going to put my O-ring in, see if it'll fit. And there we go. That's fit into the groove. You can see the O-ring right there. And it's down into the groove everywhere. We've pushed it in. So now I'm just going to try my gear, just the teeth end of it. And if I can slip the teeth end in, I should be all right. Now, because I'm in the jaws here and I've got it clamped tight, it will sometime actually compress it a little bit. So we're going to take it out and we're going to take it over to the bench there, put a little bit of grease on it, and see if we can slide it right down on our gear. So now that we've got it cut out, just gonna put a little grease around the inside of it, and the grease is thick as well, so we just need a skim in there just to help it slide over these areas on the gear itself. And now we'll hope that we can just slide it down on there without having any problems, because once it's in the bike and we go to shove it in, we don't want it too hard to get on there. So, let's see. No, it's not quite gonna go on there. All right. Must be just just a hair up. I think I'll take another couple thou out of that just to make sure. Evidently we're not quite down to depth yet. It's tricky in there sometimes getting it just right. So I'll just take it over to the lathe, take another cut, and we'll try again. So we're taking just another little couple thousandths off of it. It's a very fine line there to get things to fit right. Try to grease it up there. And there we go. Jeez, snug fit on there. So it slid right down over it, just like it's supposed to. A little bit snug there, but that's what we want. We want it to be a little bit, not tight, but you know, fairly tight. We want to know that the O-ring is grabbed. And this one takes the little key in here, so it's gonna lock it into place. So it's not like it's gonna spin on that. We just need it to seal up and do its thing. Yeah, you can feel it right when it goes over that high spot. All right, it's another step in the process. So now we'll do the bearing, and I'll put my 4-jaw chuck on and dial it up and bore it out. So we'll get on to that. One step at a time. Today we're working away at the 3-speed, and we're going to do our 4th gear or 3rd gear, however you want to look at it, modifications to make it a leak-proof gear. Now this is one of the weak points of all the Harleys, the 4-speeds. You end up getting a lot of oil leaks there. But by performing these tasks on these, you can try to make it leak-proof, or at least try to do the best you can to keep it from leaking. So we're going to go along today, work on the 4th gear. We're going to start by pressing our old bushing out and pressing our new one in, and then we're going to take it over to the lathe and we're going to set it up and do some procedures on it. So stick with us, here we go. Now just to clarify a question before we put this bushing in that a lot of guys ask me, this is the stock split bushing from Harley, and if you look inside you can see that there's rings inside this gear that go around, spiraled on the other end, but there's rings on this ring piece goes towards the nut on your 4th gear, so out from the transmission. And what the rings are for is to, when oil goes in here to lubricate this, the rings help trap the oil here and send it back inside rather than letting it seep right out. Now our Jim's bushing has the same sort of thing. There's small spirals inside on this end to direct the oil back, while there are long spirals on this end. So we're going to put it in with this end towards the threaded part of the 4th gear. And even though we're going to cut it down to make some modifications on it, it'll be just fine. But that's a question I always get asked about that 4th gear, the spiral rings in it. Always face out towards the 4th gear nut. Okay, let's get her in. So we've got our 4th gear here, and we've got our tool here for pressing it out. It's smaller on one end to allow it to go through. And there we go, it's pressed out. So we've just tapped our brass piece in there to get it started in there straight. And we're using this piece to go down inside, and this side I've had turned down a little bit to give us the extra clearance inside, because it will compress. And we'll press it down to this shoulder right here. And there we go, we're pressed right down into the shoulder, slightly out this side. That's about how it should look in there. It should be seated down to the shoulder in there. Now we are going to cut this down inside a little more to make room for double seals. But on a stock configuration, if you're not doing it just to press them in, that's the way to do it. And one of these tools really helps. Yeah, so just before I dial it up in there, I'm going to take the brass bushing that's inside here and I'm going to push it down to 7/16 from the outside face, because that's how far we want it down in order to put our seals in. Now, it will be double sealed and everything else, but this gear has a small spiral in it, which traps the oil, and I'd like to retain that if I could. So I could press this down to the depth I need, and then afterwards I'll mount this end and shave this down to where it's supposed to be so we have no interference. But that way I can retain the spiral in there, and again, help to retain the oil in here on this side and not leak out the right hand side. So with a 13/16 socket, it's just the right size for that. I'm just going to push it down in little increments, measure it, push it down, measure it, make sure I've got it to where I want it. Just small increments at a time. It's really hard to be able to measure it there, sort of by eye. We'll check the depth. About another 1/16 to go there.
Old 3-speed humming, gears worn and shy. Leaky seals whisper, I'm ready to die. One shaft's a rattling, the main gear's out of line.
A little bit more.
We've got the tools, it's a repair time. Turn the wrench, cut the steel, O-ring snug and tight. Special cuts, double seals, bring the gear back to life.
So now we just measure down to our brass bushing there. We're 7/16 from the face down to the brass bushing. Now when I go to turn it down, I just go up and just touch that bushing and I know I'm at depth. And we'll have to turn this side down for depth too, so it doesn't interfere inside. So now I'm going to take it over to the lathe. We're going to put it in a 4-jaw chuck and dial it up so that we're straight and everywhere around here, and we can start to do the machining operations that I want to do on it. Once we've done all these operations, then I'm going to hone it out afterwards, because it will have to be honed anyway. I'll get a rough edge there and stuff, so I found that if we do all the operations first, then hone it, she's good to go. So there we both got it. As you can see, we're right on the money there. There's no movement at all. She's dialed right in.
The old 3-speed roars, no leaks left behind. A revived heart beats in rhythm and rhyme. She'll last another mile, another road, another day. All thanks to the hands that made the wear fade away.
Now we'll check it and make sure we're at depth. Now I'm right on there at 7/16. So I just need to clean it up a tiny bit in there, and we'll have it. And there we go. We've got it down to depth. What we're looking for is a nice smooth cut in there. Sometimes there's always a little bit of irregularity, just a slight spot. We're 7/16 down in there. That's what we want. So now we're just going to cut our little groove here for our ring. Get that in place. So we've got our last cut done there, and it's looking pretty good on there. So I think I'm going to put the O-ring on and get a sleeve. Make sure that it'll slide over that. It's just up over it. That's just what we want. So, as you can see, the O-ring is standing up slightly, not very much. We're going to put a little grease on there. And we're not using our sleeve that we have cut out for it, but we've got a little one here, and it's chamfered a little bit on the edge. So we'll slide the chamfered end in there. And I just got another one for a spacer there. And when we tighten this up, it should slide right up over the O-ring without doing any damage to it. That's what we're looking for. Tighten that up. You can see it sliding right up over there. We look down in here, and it's just squished out the grease, but the O-ring is contained in underneath of it there. And this is right up against where it's supposed to go there. So that looks good. Now, just gonna try and take it off. And there we go. And you can see that the O-ring is not squashed out. It's not damaged at all. There's in no way anywhere that it's cut anything or anything. So it's just compressing that O-ring into there. So between that O-ring there and the one that we have inside of our spacer unit, which runs on this surface, it's not going to leak there. All right, that looks good. I'm pleased with that. Now, some guys are always wondering what size O-rings I'm using in there, and they're very small. They're 66 thousandths of an inch thick. So, and the ones that go inside of these units appear to be an inch 560. I'll show you here. These ones here are a little larger, about inch 560 around there, and these ones are a little smaller, about an inch and a half. Now, if you're looking for these little ones, you're looking for something that, you know, fits tight over the gear so that it can go down in the groove. And the other ones, you can judge by that. You know, they should fit in a groove comfortably, so you can judge with the back of your spacer there. I don't know what the sizes are exactly, but you can see the difference in the size of the two O-rings. When I'm doing them, I just go to my buddy Jimmy's and I grab a couple O-rings. He knows exactly which ones I need, so you know, I don't have a problem, but I do take my pieces with me so that I can compare. And as I said, they're both 66 thousandths of an inch thick. So when you're looking for them, 0.066 is the thickness, and a couple different sizes. And away you go, turn them down as far as you go, leaving 5/6 thousandths to stick up for compression, and it seems to work for me. So what we're going to do now is turn the brass down. Now here's one here for an example. And you can see that they're just down below the pointed tits there. They're not very far, they're maybe 1/8 of an inch down below those tits. So that's what we're going to be shooting for, something like that.
The old 3-speed roars, no leaks left behind. A revived heart beats in rhythm and rhyme. She'll last another mile, another road, another day. All thanks to the hands that made the way fade away.
There we go. And that should do it. So now we've got all those steps done. We're down below there. We should be fine. Shouldn't be any interference there. And now that our machining processes are done, we can hone the thing out to size when I get my new transmission shaft, so we get a nice fit on there. And this high gear will be good to go. So today we've got our Andrews Mainshaft has come in. So we're going to work away on the 3-speed and get the 4th gear or the 3rd gear fitted to the Mainshaft. And when we get the new Mainshaft, it's often got a coating on it. We'll just spray some cleaner on that to clean that off. If you start measuring or you start making something trying to fit and you've got that coating on there, it can be enough just to throw things out a little bit. We want it nice and clean to start with. So there we go. Beauty of a shaft. Now, next thing I want to do is measure the shaft, see what size it is actually, so that we can fit our gear bushing 0.02 of an inch larger. And I've just got 1/1000 of an inch, almost 1/1000 of an inch underneath 1 inch. So 0.999 is really what we're looking at. So we're going to have to make our gear 0.02 of an inch above that. And that's the plan for today. So we've got the honing machine set up over there. I've got everything ready to go. So we're gonna go over and try to start honing our gear. Now, when we hone the gear and we run it back and forth, we got compound in it. It's also picking up grit in it. So each time before you check your measurement or you check your fit on the shaft, you got to make sure that the gear is clean inside. So we always spray it out with like brake clean or contact clean every time. Make sure it's good and clean, then try our shaft. Because you will get, 1/1000 or 2/1000 of an inch difference if you don't clean that grit out. So, looks like we've got it ready to go. So we'll go over and we'll hone it in. While we're talking about our high gear, there's a few main elements that make it leak and that we have to watch out for. Now, first one being the outside diameter of this here compared to your main seal, which in our case is a steel seal like this that's going in there. And that should be, a nice snug fit. So if it's sloppy or loose in there, you got a problem. Now when I put it in, I put a little bit of case sealer just around the outside of the steel bearing and put it in, and that helps not only keep it in there, but also it keeps it from leaking. The next spot that we see that causes the leaks quite often is where this piece, your spacer, fits onto the gear against this shoulder right here, like that. You need a nice tight fit there, and the back of the gear, of the spacer, has to be nice and flat. Now in some extreme cases, or we wouldn't even call them extreme cases, but when you're looking at it, you would find that when you pull your spacer off, it has a little mark right in this area, and you can see a small one on this starting here. I can actually stick my pen on it and it won't go over it. And what that tells you is that instead of the face of this whole gear fitting flat on there, this little surrounding area is where it's fitting on. But because there's a shoulder built up, it kind of tells you that this has been rocking a little bit. Even though it's tightened up, there can be some rock in it, and that can be caused if it's loose, it's not fitting tight, the back of this is not straight. There's a variety of things, but you need to check the back of it. And if you see a little lip there, it looks like it should be there, but it's not supposed to be there. That's supposed to be a flush fit to stop it from leaking. So that has to fit nice and snug and tight, and there should be no markings on the back of it at all. The next spot is in here, where your seal fits in here. Now, the hole size on this is 1.250 most of the time when I measure it, and your small seal that goes in the end of it, which we've made room for double seals, is 1.254. So it's about 4 to 5 thou bigger than this hole. And the OEM part number for that one, for the 66 to 84 seals, is 12022. Now, if you find yourself in a bind and for some reason the end of this is worn and that seal doesn't want to fit in there tight, and you're going, well, I can't make it fit in there, I do have an answer for you. What you're going to need is some of these. Now, this is the same type of seal. It looks identical. the same sort of thing, but it's made for 91 to 06 5-speed gears, and it's actually 10,000ths of an inch bigger than the seal for the shovel heads. So if you're wallowy in there, you could certainly put one of these in, and they will fit tight and they will save you in that bind. When we go to install these double seals, we're just going to put a little small skim of green Locktight on there, and that will help lock up and keep them in place and keep them from working their way out. You also want to check the end of your main shaft where that seal runs on to see if there's a groove in the main shaft where that seal has actually cut into there. Doesn't usually get real extreme, but in cases where that's worn out, it can happen. Also, what often happens is that this part of the main shaft here gets worn down, and you're trying to make one of these new brass bushings. You know, if it seems to be one size throughout, but it's worn down below the 0.999, what often happens is that the end of the main shaft, right here, when you're trying to slide that bushing over, is bigger than this worn area down here. So you have to watch out for that and do something accordingly. Either put it in a lathe and just smooth this off with emery cloth, so we have one constant size here. So if you're putting a brass bushing in there, that you can size it to fit it easily. I've run into that quite often, and the end of the main shaft is a little bit bigger, so it's something that you should measure and you should check. And of course, last but not least, is our bushing area. Now, if your bushing is getting worn out, what will happen when you put your gear on is that you're physically able to rock this gear back and forth on the main shaft. Now, when it's sticking out of the transmission, you can actually grab the main shaft and holding on to the fourth gear and move it up and down. If you see that movement, it means that this bushing inside is worn out, because it shouldn't rock. It should have tooth out clearance in there, be nice and smooth, which is just negligible to feel. I mean, if you're used to feeling 1,000ths of an inch, like I am sometimes, you can feel it. But you can obviously tell if it's worn out if you can reach in there and move that up and down. That's your leak coming out this end. Now, even with the seals in the end, you're still probably going to leak because there's so much oil coming out there that it's just trying to force its way out past the seal, and by that time the rubber area in the seal is well worn as well and allows it to escape. Also, if you're looking to get one of these gear seals with the small O-ring in them, I fabricate them myself, but there's a fellow in New Brunswick that's been doing it for a long time, and he manufactures these units. There's 5 different units, so you have to make sure that you know which one you have exactly for your transmission. And his name is Ray Dugas, and you can find his stuff on eBay under Sandbag Rail, I believe is his handle, and he sells these units. So if you want to get yourself one and you don't have a machinist buddy to make one, check out Ray. So with all that being said, I guess we're about ready, and we're going to go over and start honing our bushing out and fitting it to size to this till we got a nice 2,000ths clearance on there, and then should be good to go. All right, let's get at it. I'll get some lube on here.
Do you remember when we first met? I thought my eyes would fall straight out of my head. Guess we all living proof of love at first sight. But now we both see love in a different light. Keeping love alive is a tricky thing. You gotta let it fly, gotta give it wings. If you wanna make it right, bloom and thrive. Don't hold on too tight, you know you got.
Now we'll check it. We're gonna check it on our shaft here. We're still squeaky. She's not going on there.
Still here we are, my friend, over 10 years down the road. 3 kids in a big old house.
Always reversing it.
Well, I gotta give it to you, don't know how you found the time. Make it all ends meet while running down that line. Keeping love alive is a tricky thing. You gotta let it fly, gotta give it wings. If you wanna make it right, bloom and thrive. Don't hold on too tight, you know you gotta try.
So we're pretty close there now, I think. gonna spray it out, making sure to get all the grooves in there sprayed out. There. Make sure that our shaft has no grit on it as well. And we should be able to slide our gear down on there, just like that. Should spin very freely on there. Should be no drag at all. And if I double check again, like I say, my shaft was 0.999 pretty well. And if you're measuring the inside, make sure that you're not measuring on the grooves. And I'm 1.1 thou. So I'm 2/1000ths of an inch, roughly 2/1000ths of an inch up on that. Don't be afraid to measure a few times. You say you just got to watch that you don't get in the slotted grooves. That's right where we should be. So I'm pleased with that. It's a nice fit on the shaft, and we have 2/1000ths clearance in there. So that will be what it should be in there. So we're gonna wash everything out, clean all our parts out, make sure that there's no grit left on them. Very important at this stage to get all the grit out of the gear anywhere that's in there. I'm gonna pull this little O-ring out, I'm gonna wash it all out, make sure that it's very clean. But like I say, we have a nice fit on our shaft there now. There we go. And that should run perfect in there. Okay, next step. So now we've cleaned everything out, washed it out, blown it out. Now we're going to put our seals in. And we're going to take a little bit of green. And we're just going to put a smidge around the outside of it. Just enough to say you rub some on there. We're going to drive it down in there, but we want to make sure we don't drive it down too far and that our bottom lip is hitting. You don't want that. Just keep checking as we go. Okay, there we go. So we know that our lip can still work there, and we're above the brass edge. Grease on the bottom of the other one. Some grease in there. This is to keep it pliable in there. Rub some in there on that one. And we're going to put that one just down in the lip. And there we go. I know it's hard to see, but both seals are in there. One not interfering with the other. And that is fourth gear, or high gear, whichever way you want to put it. I just like to pack a little more grease in there if I can, into that lip. There we go. All right. So if you enjoyed this video today, like, subscribe, comment, ring the bell, do those kind of things. It helps us to grow. Today I hope I helped you out with some of the problems that might have developed when you're trying to stop that fourth gear from leaking. Most of it's a fairly straightforward procedure, but sometimes things just get done and things are worn out and you don't know what to look for, and hopefully this has helped you out. So we're going to go on from here. We're going to start assembling the 3-speed and putting it back together and getting it off to the owner. So probably in the next week or so we'll have a video on completing that and getting it finished. We're also working away on Josephine. I hope within the next week or so here to get the motor all running. We've been dealing with some other issues and ordered some other parts that we need for it. But it's all coming together and I'm feeling pretty good about it. So if you found any of this video informative and you think it helped you out, help it don't fall out and buy me a coffee. It's very simple. Just click on, go there, it'll walk you through it, and you can buy me 1, 2, 3 coffees, whatever you'd like to do. All of it helps me out, helps me to buy tools, and helps me to keep moving along, and I appreciate each and every one of you that do it. By the way, be sure to check out my brothers down south, Hippie's Chopper Corner and Slick Ed's Custom Cycles. Slick's just been to one of the big swap meets, and man, again, I'm jealous on any type of swap meet to see all those kind of parts that are readily available. And Hip, I was just talking to you this morning on the phone, and I know you sold your project bike and it probably broke your heart to let that go, but other ones will come along. You've got an idea in your mind what you want, so things will happen. You know, I know you're into your new venture, so some changes got to be made, but eventually you'll get along to what you want. So thank you all for subscribing, and for those who haven't subbed up yet, please sub up. And so I guess I'll see you next week.